Well, good evening, everybody. I've just had the signal from Stephen that we're live, and welcome along to the Dhammaloka Centre tonight for this inaugural meditation. And really, what I want to do too is introduce our care group, who are already up in the house at number 37 Milford, just behind the centre here. But tonight's going to be actually quite special because, and it's really turned out much more different than what I was expecting anyway, because we did have an unfortunate happening last night where one of our very, very esteemed members of the Buddhist Society, who's been ill for quite a while, actually died last night at 4:15. His name was Hugh Sykes. I don't know how many of you know. I can see that, as it was for me too, it was quite a shock to hear, even though we knew he was ill and we knew that he was had been ailing, and he's been in a wheelchair now for quite a while. But nonetheless, he was still a very vibrant man, and we remember him very fondly here at the Buddhist Society. In fact, well, just to continue on with tonight's events anyway, because we are going to cross, this is the first time we've done this too, so Stephen, our operations manager up in the control box up there, I hope he's able to sort of manage all this, but at 8:30 tonight we're going to extend the night just a little bit more, because at 8:30 we're going to cross to Bodhinyana Monastery, and the monks who are meeting there tonight are going to chant for Hugh. So it's a lovely thing to think about and a lovely thing to do. We'll just see how that goes anyway. So let me just tell you a little bit more about Hugh for a start anyway, just because he was as I say, he was a very esteemed member of our society here. He was the community coordinator for many, many years. He looked after a lot of the care side of the Buddhist Society, and indeed tonight that we're celebrating the care group, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that in a moment too, and just the people that are now on the phones ready to take your call should you wish to ring. Hugh was right across this over many, many years, helping here at the Buddhist Society with things like prison visits and visits to schools. He used to accept a lot of schools here into the Dhammaloka Centre and be teaching them, teaching the students. He was a man, well, I remember him as a very gentle man. I'm sure that you will all do that too. He was a tall, very slender, beautifully gentle person. I remember when he first got ill, sitting with him in hospital, and he was unconscious at the time, but I remember just looking at his beautiful hands and his fingers, just quite exquisitely gentle, and you could just see the gentleness in his whole demeanour. And even when he was unconscious, just that if you talked to him and asked a question, there was just a sort of a gentle, not that it was necessarily well, it was obviously a conscious response, but not necessarily a well-considered response, but he knew that somebody was there, and it was always a very gentle interaction that he gave. So I know that those of you that know him will have had your own take on him, but certainly from my point of view, and from just seeing over the many years of the Buddhist Society here, it's been just a wonderful thing that Hugh has been here, and it was quite a sad thing for him to die. But in many ways too, I think it was probably time for him to leave us. In a way, not that it's probably very pompous to say something like that, but by the same token, he was quite ill. He had a little turn not so long ago, and the stroke that he'd had returned a little bit, so he was unable to speak for the last few days, so it's probably a blessing, and we wish Hugh well. And indeed we'll remember him again when the monks come online and are able to offer the chanting for him. So I wanted to just, first of all, just let you know a little bit about tonight, just what we're... Sorry? Oh, yeah, very good, thank you. This is Chet Tay, one of our esteemed members. She's switching on the candles for us. So we don't light candles anymore, they're switched on. They look pretty real though, I think. One of the big purposes of doing tonight really is to run these talks in tandem with our care group, our Buddhist Society care group. We have now many people, maybe 60 or so, members that have trained in listening skills to be able to sit on the phone and just take calls from anybody who might want to ring with any kind of subject at all that they might want to talk about. But these people have trained, and they're kind of all very, very good listeners. They've also got their own personal practice of meditation going, which is also, I think, a bonus for this kind of thing. And I just really wanted you all to know that there is phone lines open right now. So if you're listening on the live stream, and you're interested to ring and talk to someone, those phone lines are open right now, and you can ring and make a call. I should really have the telephone number up here. Maybe Stephen might bring it up for me later on so that I can just tell you what it is. I just don't remember it right offhand, but it is on our website. So very good for you to know that those people are there right now. And what I'm going to try and do with the talks is really the talks that go with these sessions on Wednesday nights is really to speak about being able to listen to ourselves, because I mean this is a very, very wonderful thing that we do as Buddhist people, just to be able to self-reflect, to go inside ourselves, to become still, and to actually begin to know just what it is that's going on inside us, so that we can understand and make a difference for ourselves, just to understand what makes us tick, the ways that we are conditioned. So when we're listening to ourselves, it's very similar to the way that the telephone carers are able to listen to you on the phone. They've been trained and are attempting to listen in the same way to you on the telephone as what you might potentially listen to yourself when you're sitting meditation. Because it is in really the stillness of our mind, as our mind becomes more still and a little bit more focused and clear, with the clarity that comes from the meditation, that we are able to sort of see ourselves more clearly, to see and understand a lot of the trials and the troubles that we might come across in life. But more importantly too, just to be able to see our conditioning. And this word conditioning, I think, is a really important thing to try and understand, because we are definitely all conditioned. I mean, we might just ask the question of ourselves, well, ask of myself, what makes Dennis Dennis? How did I get to think about myself as Dennis, and think about myself as the person that I am and what I do and what values I have in the world? And all of this has really come from conditioning. It starts off right when we're children, with when first people that we come into contact with in the world is, of course, our parents. And generally most of us are fairly lucky enough to have a mother's love. And that usually, for most of us, sets us up in a fairly good way to be able to depend and be nurtured, to be loved. And when that sort of conditioning comes in, it's a wonderful thing to have that conditioning there for ourselves, right from the very beginning. Thank you, Linda. And so I'll just have a little look at this note that I've just been given. Oh, very good. It's a telephone number. So I'll just finish what I'm saying and then I'll tell you what that is, providing I can read it. My eyes aren't so good these days, but yeah. So this conditioning is really all pervasive. So it starts off, usually very, very nicely with our parents, dad and mum, and all of that wonderful care that if we're lucky we usually get and are able to. That's the first conditioning that we usually get. But then from there we usually move off to kindergarten, where there's sort of more of a hierarchy around, and we might be starting to learn how to listen to others, and we start to even notice others that are perhaps a little bit more persuasive in the way that they might be, and we might even start to admire some things that are said and maybe try to emulate, try to be the same as some other people, even at that early age, just as in a kindergarten age. But generally we are still pretty, certainly until we get a little bit older, we're still very malleable. So the whole process of our mind is still being made. And then we move on to school, of course, where it's probably a little bit more intense. They're definitely, we start choosing friends and have friends that we want to be like, and then as we sort of move a bit further into our teenage years and that, it becomes very intense. We usually are quite susceptible to fashions and change, and all of this stuff is sort of going in, and it's all, our conditioning is being made. And it goes on from there too. It goes on when we go to university, and then if we've done that, or if the government starts to get involved, their conditioning is too. And then of course right through all of this we've got our culture as well, that's also conditioning. I mean, I'm conditioning us. I'm an Australian, and people that are listening might be from America or Europe or other countries, and all of that conditioning too comes into us. So it's all of this that's making up what it is that what it is of who we are as people. And but of course, on top of that, what's from the Buddhist perspective too, what overlies all of that is just really what we've brought into this world with us. There's also past lives, and as someone who does hypnosis with people, I'm very familiar with the idea of seeing this. I know that for some people, past lives is a little bit more of a puzzle, and is it really true or not true? But my experience with this is that it's very true. I've been with many, many, many people that have maybe even come in a bit sceptical at the start, but once they start to see what's happening, these, the past lives and maybe things that have come from past lives that come along to push and pull them around in this life too, it becomes very real, and people can generally get a really good feel for what it is to have a past life, especially if there's a strong emotional attachment to it as well. It's always usually quite important when we're looking at hypnosis, just to be able to sort of use that emotional content as like a hook to pull different stories that people might have inside them out, so that they can touch it. And generally, when this happens, of course, when you start to see this process happening inside, it's usually a very easy thing then I shouldn't really necessarily say easy, but at least you're in the hunt to be able to just see these troubles that we have and touch them, be with them, and be able to accept them and let them go. While we're ignorant of all of this happening inside ourselves, it's very, very difficult to sort of know just how to be free of this stuff that pushes us around all of the time. So it's the conditioning from our childhood, from later teenagehood, and then through all of the years, really, just with the government, but also, again, as I'm saying, all of this conditioning that we bring from past lives as well. So without sort of knowing very clearly about all of that, it's sometimes quite difficult to just understand why we do and think the way that we do. It's always a puzzle to me, the whole thing, really, if I think of it really honestly. This world is a great mystery, isn't it? It's a mystery to all of us. I mean, I often sort of think about this in terms of just looking out into the universe itself, and that's just a big puzzle and a big mystery too. For me, our relationship with the universe itself, our relationship even with this earth. I mean, and that's really when we do some meditation a little bit later on, I want to be able to just introduce this to you, this concept of grounding us into the earth, because, I mean, we're children of this earth. We belong to this earth. We eat the produce from the earth. We drink its water. We are in every way a product of this earth. We are really, in a way, grounded right into it. Oftentimes we don't sort of see it that way, but that really is the reality, and it's a very useful thing to be able to just to notice that and to practice to understand that. But equally, that extends out into the wider universe itself as well, because as we know now, beyond any doubt, I would expect, that what physicists tell us is that we are, in fact, children of the stars. All of the elements and all of the particles that make up our bodies have all been probably recycled through stars many, many times. In fact, in physics they say that the only thing that that elements up to the atomic weight of iron is just made in normal stars, but anything over the atomic weight of hydrogen is actually made in what they call supernovas. So these are stars that explode and cast their debris into the space, and as the universe evolves and the planetary systems evolve, it picks up all of that stuff, and it sort of, the Earth itself has been recycled through stars many, many times. So when you start to think of it like that too, we are connected into this universe in such a discrete and it's a mysterious thing, a mysterious way. Our bodies and our beings are made from this whole universe. We are part of this universe, part of this earth. And as I say, just understanding that and sort of being able to sort of accept that, just to see that is a kind of a truth that's inside us, is a very useful thing to know, because otherwise the universe remains, and it will always remain, I think, a mystery. I mean, when I look out into the night sky and I see the moon going around the Earth, and then the Earth and the moon going around the sun, and the sun there, and that's sort of moving through space. And if we look out further, there's other stars and galactic clusters and all of this physics stuff that's so mysterious, so difficult to comprehend, so difficult to understand. But bit by bit, we're starting to sort of realise that we are part of all of that. But most importantly for us here, we are part of this earth. and to sort of to understand that and be that is really a very helpful thing, because there's a satisfaction in the way that we can ground ourselves, and it's a way of allowing our minds to become peaceful and reflective and still. And just in mentioning that word stillness there, we've sort of really coming right there onto the heart of what meditation is about. Our practice of meditation is to make our minds still, so that we can actually see through the stillness. And as our mind becomes still, we start to see we start to be able to see deeper. The wisdom part of things grows. Our intuition, we're able to intuit things a little more easily, a little bit more better, until we can really start to see. And then, of course, as the meditation deepens and expands, you get sort of wonderful teachers like Ajahn Brahm, who are able to teach us about the jhanas, so that we get to a situation like this where we can make our mind that still, that indeed the whole body and all of the universe, in fact, too, can unify into the mind, into our mind. Can find a way to have all of that just drop away as the whole thing unifies and just collapses into the mind, so that we have got that, as Ajahn Brahm teaches, got that ability to be able to see the mind directly, to notice the mind just standing forth. And what does this mean? What does this mean when we're able to just do that, to understand that this is what the mind does? And we can see then very clearly that this whole thing that we're involved in here, this earth and this universe, is all part of our mind. It's mind-made, just as the Buddha said, especially in the first and second verses of the Dhammapada. Mind is chief, mind is the forerunner of all things. So we're able to sort of see this for ourselves with our meditation as the mind starts to become more still. And indeed, I think just at that point, what I might do is just introduce a little section of meditation that I'd like to do where we can sit and just start that process of just noticing what it's like not to have thinking going on in our mind, just to notice what it's like to be quite still, and just to see how we can use the Buddha's teachings to do that, so that stillness can be there, and so that we can use that stillness to be able to see deeply into ourselves and be able to self-reflect, to see just that little bit deeper inside us as we do this. So, if we say sit meditation for maybe 20 minutes or so, or maybe even half an hour if we can, and we'll just see how we go to bring about this stillness. Again, just reflecting too that this stillness really is in the way that the care group listeners will be trying their hardest to well, hopefully they're not trying too hard to give themselves a headache or anything like that, but they're skilled in just being able to listen to you in the way that you might want to talk, or talk something over, so that they're not maybe taking over from you, not necessarily trying to condition you in any way. Although I don't think that's necessarily possible to do, because we all condition each other. That's one thing that you notice with this hypnosis process. And maybe what we'll talk about a little bit later on too is just the way that, especially just I think what's happening right now in the world, where the world is so polarised and our views are so sometimes so different from one another, where especially I think Donald Trump's done if anything, he's done a great service to the world in really just being able to show that in a way, just to show that half the population can think one way and the other half can think another way, and there's all of these things that come about for us that cause us all this tension and trouble. And there's really quite a lot of tension in the world right now, where people find it sometimes very difficult to listen to somebody else if there's an opposing view. Somebody thinks differently to you. How do you manage that? How are we able to sort of hold that space between us, that relationship space between us? How are we able to hold that if our views are so polarised so differently? But using the stillness, this is certainly the way to do it. The stillness is what it marries up all of these paradoxes. It allows us to be able to sort of see through what we're thinking about, what we believe in, and all of these sorts of things as our minds become more peaceful, more still, more relaxed. So I'd invite you now just to take a nice meditation posture, and important too just to keep your back nice and straight, head nicely balanced on your shoulders, straight up and down, top of the head pointing to the ceiling. You can close your eyes and just let your tongue rest gently against your palate. Always find it very useful too to just have the hands folded in the usual way that we do this, I guess, is hold hands folded in front, but just with your thumbs gently touching. I like to do that because I think that it's quite useful to feel the sensitivity in your fingers. There's lots of nerve endings in there, and sometimes the tingling that happens on the external extremities of your body is really quite useful to allow and amplify relaxation in your body. So, eyes closed. Perhaps you might want to just start by feeling your toes. You can even give your toes a wiggle if you like. Big toe. Can you feel your little toe? Just putting your attention there, and then just letting your attention run over the arch of your foot and into your heel. And then just noticing how the heel connects to the bottom part of your leg. There's an articulation point there at your ankle. And then just moving the attention up into your shins, around the calves, through the knees. And if there's any tension anywhere, just to let it relax. And if you need to move, you can just move, but do so mindfully. And moving up into the thighs, those big thick thigh muscles. And you're just breathing normally. Then your attention might move into your bottom, just feeling the way that you're seated. And just let that go, just let it relax. You can usually just let the body feel light, so that it's all just lifting up off the weight that's on your bottom. And then through the small of your back into the tummy. It's always interesting to sort of look around this area in your tummy, all the little rumbles and gurgles, especially after you've just eaten. And just making sure it's all relaxed. There's nothing tight in there, no tension. Moving the attention up into the upper back, around your shoulder blades and into your neck. And moving up into your chest. It's a wonderful place to look for movement in your chest. There's usually always rhythms going on in there. Little rushes, even a bit of clattering. And just the steady rhythm of your heart. And moving into the shoulders and just feeling your arms as they're hanging down your side, down by your side, bent at the elbows. Into the forearms, the wrists and the hands. And then round your fingers. Do you feel any tingling there? Just a nice tingling. Sometimes, if you're lucky, that tingling might even expand. So go all over your body. And this is a sure sign that your body's starting to relax. And already you will be starting to feel relaxed. Just watching the breath as it flows in and flows out. And just noticing your body. And moving up into the neck and then further up into the head. Round your lips too, as usually, and then your mouth and tongue is usually fairly sensitive. Your eyes. The top of your head pointing to the ceiling. And also there's oftentimes a lot of tingling. And then just allowing and seeing your whole body relaxed as it is. So seeing it just grounded through your cushion, through your chair, into the earth. It is quite easy to see too, because we can easily feel the way that gravity pulls us down. Causes us to have weight, mass. And you might even imagine the field lines of the earth, the gravitational field lines that are moving from the centre of the earth right up to touch each side of your body. Grounding you. And then you may want to start to just visualise these field lines sort of moving up further into the universe, right out into what we imagine as the centre of the universe. Moving round and round. So that we see very clearly that we are part of this earth, grounded earthed, belonging to this earth and this universe. We're not separate from it. We are part of it. When you contemplate this way, you're seeing your universe. I'm working and living here with Dennis's universe, and you with your universe. How does it feel? Can we be relaxed? And just allowing that relaxation to spread right through your body. All the tensions disappearing, relaxing. No need to be thinking, wondering what it's about. Just allowing the mind to go to stillness. No need even to listen to the words that I'm speaking or try to work out what the words that I'm speaking mean. Just allowing the words just to come and go in the stillness. As we begin to just feel that wonderful relaxation. And just to see how we can relax deeply into this earth, into this universe. Our universe. Our universe individually. The movement of our minds and the perceptions and the feelings are all individualised. We all have our own take, our own understanding. We all have our own feel of the elephant. But we can know that it's relaxed. Then when you're ready, you can just start to leave the body go and just let the mind have its sway. But no need to think about things, no thinking. Just allowing the mind to be still. And just allowing yourself to know how that feels. What does it feel like to be still? There's many words that we can say about stillness. We can talk about it as spaciousness or emptiness. Still consciousness. Because we are conscious of being still. We're starting to move towards that point where we're noticing stillness before it moves. Before it moves to change. It's a palpable feeling. It's something that you can make a subject of. It is subjective. You can know it. You can know the stillness. You may even now be starting to become aware of your breath as it's beginning and ending, moving in and then breathing out. You can notice that that's happening in the stillness. The breath is coming out of that still consciousness. It's being created in the still consciousness and then it's disappearing back into that still consciousness. And you can see that right here and now. And you can start to see that we're looking directly here at the second and the third noble truth. This is the beginning of a breath, and then the third noble truth, the ending of a breath. The beginning and ending of conditioning. And it's also important just to notice how you're feeling now, how you're feeling, how that peacefulness and the stillness is a beauty. There's a contentment. It's quite subtle, but it's very powerful. Just to know the mind when it's not moving. And just sitting with the stillness. Right in the heart of the present moment. Because the stillness is indicating to us that we are present. And we can sit with the stillness and watch the movement of our breath. We can all know too, or intuit what's happened during the day, the beginning of today. Now as we move towards the end of the day, again the second and the third noble truth. And start to get a perspective on the week, how it's begun and how it will end on Friday, tomorrow. Beginning and endings in consciousness. Beginning and ending in the conditioning that we have, all at different scales. One might even notice just even the stillness itself is iterating very, very fast, faster than what you can even notice. But you can sense that in the way that it feels. All these scales of beginnings and endings, second and third noble truth. And then as we start to notice the contentment that's there, we can see that temporarily desire and aversion have subdued. Just leaving contentment. And then we can also see that restlessness and sloth and torpor have subdued as well. We're sitting upright, we're balanced. We have the right energy in our body. As we watch the stillness. And we can know this beyond any doubts. So you can see right there the 5 hindrances are already subdued. And we can sense the truth of this present moment, the truth that's there in the stillness. The fact that we're moving close to truth. Truth of the present moment. And just to notice the beauty of it. Just how it feels. Truth has this beauty. It's compelling. We want to be with it, even though it's subtle. In a moment I'm going to ring the bell. So, as is usual, I will just strike it 3 times, and when the third resonance starts to disappear, you can just gently open your eyes and come back to the room. So how was that for everybody? Did everybody get a taste of the stillness? I hope you can bring that stillness back with you. Hopefully, the way that you are feeling in that meditation should still be there with you now. And once again, just as I'm beginning to speak, hopefully you'll be able to sort of see the words that are being spoken coming out of the stillness and returning to the stillness, just in the way that all conditions do. Doesn't really matter what scale the conditions might be, really just starting from the stillness itself, which is also a condition, in the way that that iterates in our mind sort of so fast, countless times, the Buddha said, in the wink of an eye. But then you can start to look at the different gradations of conditioning, you know, as we did in the meditation, looking at the breath, just the way the breath begins and then it ends relatively quickly. You can sort of see it. So if we're looking at the stillness, it's like watching our mind stream, just it continues along. You're sitting in the stillness here, say, and the mind stream is just continuing along like this. And then if you imagine, say, a conscious moment, it's just like that end, very, very quick, hardly even noticeable. But then you might watch a breath, and a breath begins and ends. And then a day begins and ends. Then perhaps a week, you know, consideration of a week begins and ends. And then a year maybe begins and ends. And then we can start to get deeper into the clarity of our mind and perhaps even start to notice and intuit perhaps even a life. I mean, not that we've all kind of know or can remember being born. Some of us can. But you can intuit it though, isn't it? Our life is born and then we die. It's all on this stream of consciousness. And even I always like to think about and tell a story about the Buddha, because when the monks were asking the Buddha about where consciousness come from, they said that, you know, where does consciousness come from? And the Buddha reflected on that and he said, I've looked back over 24 kalpas, so this is 24 universal cycles. This is beginnings and ends of universes, whole universes, and we're 14,000 million years apparently now into this one. So he's looked back over all of those 24 kalpas and he said, no beginning can be seen. So this stream of consciousness, you know, if we take the Buddha's word at face value there, is really, unless we practice and do something about it, it is sort of like an eternal consciousness. This is samsara, the world of samsara, just beginnings and ends, life after life. But with this idea of developing the stillness, we're able then to understand the present moment. And the present moment is really what the Buddha called the middle way. We're looking really right into the heart of truth, right into the heart of the extremes, right in the middle of the extremes. It's not past and it's not the future. It's right in the present moment. And the Buddha said that the present moment is where. Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, that's a much bigger number there. I do thank Linda too, but I was struggling to read that one actually. Yeah, so this present moment is very important for us because this is where the Buddha stopped. He stopped in the present moment. It's not that what did he do? Can you say that certainly he died? I mean, we know that he died, but what happened to his stream of consciousness? Because right in this heart of the present moment, we can start to see that this is really it's like the infinity. It's the whole universe is there, right in the heart of the present moment. It begins and ends right in the present moment, continuously, and we can see that in our meditation. We can see that and we can intuit it. So just before I go on too far again, I would just like to remind everyone that the care group lines are open and there's listeners there waiting to take your call, and the telephone number here in Perth, the area code for Perth is 808 and the number 6270 4671. So 08 6270 4671. And this care line, of course, is open on Wednesday nights, Thursday nights, Saturday nights from 6:30 till 9 o'clock, West Australian Standard Time. So you're very welcome to call. There'll be listeners there now waiting to take your call. And I'm sure that they will listen to you very well. So I wonder, is there any questions? Does anyone have any questions? We would normally finish about this time on a Wednesday night, was what we intend to do, so that what we intend these Wednesday nights to end up turning into is a little bit more of a social occasion where we can get to know one another a little bit more and perhaps share a little bit more of our lives and ourselves with each other, perhaps over in the reception in the Vihara. But as I say tonight, we've got the monks waiting down in Bodhinyana, while they're meeting at the moment, all the monastics, and they'll be coming through to us here in Dhammaloka to chant for Hugh Sykes at 8:30. So while we're just waiting for that, then, if there's no questions just right at the moment, I might just go on just to talk a little bit more about this conditioning and just the way that it's affecting the world right now, because it's, we had a very interesting, I had a very interesting morning this morning with a group of friends where we were doing some supervision work. And it is really just amazing how there are so many different points of view right at this present moment in time. Some people, Donald Trump has been a very, very a figure that has really stirred a lot of things up, I think, in us, and I think in many ways done us all a service in a way by really pointing to the way that this conditioning works inside us all. And from my point of view, and I've been talking through the meditation there about the second and the third noble truth. But really, what this is really pointing to is the first noble truth, the noble truth of dukkha, just the way that dukkha affects us. And really, it doesn't matter what side of the fence one might get onto if you want, because I know that there seems to be anyway, a lot of discontent in the world at the moment with the way different people see things, the way that, yes, Linda. Yeah, the way that different people see things and are able to how we get ourselves into trouble anyway with that, with the way that we hold on to our own particular points of view. And as I was saying earlier on, I've just been saying that we would like to break for just have a bit of a break for a while for a chat and maybe have a cup of tea now. And then we'll come back and wait for the monks to come on stream. But I just want to finish off just by saying that that it is this still conditioning, the stillness, that is really the process that brings us all together. Because all of these conditions, whether they're conditions that we might think are conspiratorial, or that we might think are right, that we might have the right idea, somebody else has got the wrong idea. So when all of these things, when they're all looked at in the right way, and looked at and seen in the context of dukkha, we can see that really the stillness is really where we need to go to, because it's the stillness that underpins it all. And we can see it all, really, or we can see all of this this trouble that comes out of the conditioning that we have. All of this trouble does come and sort of sits in the conditioning. That we are all as one. So I'll leave my comments for the moment, and we'll adjourn and go over and have a cup of tea, and we'll be back here at 8:30 to hear the chanting from the monks. So if that's all right, Stephen, I'll leave it there. Yes, we are. Well, the monks are going to come on in a moment. We've got a meditation session that we just started tonight, and it was just very appropriate to use the whole thing, to dedicate the whole night to Hugh, and dedicate the merits that we all might attain from to Hugh. So that's the idea. But the monks are going to come on in about another 20 minutes or so to do some auspicious chanting for them. So we've got a link from down at the Buddhist Monastery up to here at the Dhammaloka Centre in Perth. Yeah. That's right, it's Dharmasara. Yeah. No, that's... Oh yes, yeah. No, I have already mentioned that tonight. I don't know if you might be able to see tonight's little meditation and talk on the net. But I did make a reference to you at the start of because we all remember him so fondly too. I mean, he was a well-loved man here, and I was just talking about his gentleness and just that beautiful demeanour that he had. His fingers just so delicate and long. And I remember him always talking about your mother, talking about your family, and just how how much gratitude he had really for everything. He did a wonderful job here at our centre. He used to visit the jails, and he brought joy and happiness to many people. Yeah. Yeah, no, I can understand that. Well, it was like that because even when he was having trouble speaking, with the stroke that he had, of course, because I think when you were here, it was probably pretty bad when you were here, and you don't think he was doing too much. But as he got better, he could speak a bit, but he still used to, he'd get jammed and caught up. His mind was, or his mind didn't know what he wanted to say, but he just somehow or other just couldn't sort of form the word. But whenever that happened, for most people, you might sort of start to get frustrated and a bit sort of peeved with it all. But the other thing that Hugh used to do, that he used to get like that, and he'd kind of try to say the word, and then all of a sudden he'd break up in peals of laughter. He would laugh at the whole thing. It was really quite wonderful to see, actually, the way that he did it. So, yeah.
Yo so Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho Swakato Yena Bhagavata Dhammo Sadamang Satsangkang Imehi Sakare Iyatarahan Arobitehi Abhipujayama Sadhuno Bante Bhagava Suchira Parinibhutopi Pachima Janatanukampa Manasa Ime Sakare Dugata Panakara Bhute Patiganhatu Amhakang Digaratang Itaya Sukhaya Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Sanghang Namami Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Iti piso Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vijacharana Sampanno Sugato Lokavidu Anuttaro Purisa Dhammasarati Satta Deva Manusanam Buddho Bhagava Tamahang Bhagavantam Abhipujayami Tamahang Bhagavantam Sirasa Namami Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Sanditiko Akaliko Ehipassiko Opanayiko Pachatam Veditabo Linyuhi Tamahang Dhammang Abhipujayami Tamahang Dhammang Sirasa Namami Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Ujjupatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Nyayapatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Samicipatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Yadidam Chattari Purisa Yuga ลาเอสาภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆอาหุเนโยพาหุเนโยดักขิเนโยอัญชลีคารณิโยอนุตตรังปุญญเขตังโลกัสสะธัมมังสังฆังอภิปูชยามิธัมมังสังฆังศิรสานามามิ
Now the requesting of the 5 precepts.
Mahangaye Tisaranena Saha Pancha Silani Yachama Dutiyampi Mayang Aye Tisaranena Saha Pancha Silani Yachama Tatiyampi Mayang Aye Tisaranena Saha Pancha Silani Yachama.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Buddhang saranang gacchami.
Buddhang saranang gacchami.
Dhammang saranang gacchami.
Dhammang saranang gacchami.
Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tisarana-gamanang nititang
Amaye.
Panati pata veramani sikapadang samadhiyami.
Panatipada veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami.
Adinadana veramani sikapadang samadhiyami.
Adinadana veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami.
Kamesu michachara veramani sikapadang samadhiyami.
Kamesu michachara veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami.
Musavada veramani sikapadang samadhiyami.
Musavada veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami.
Sura meraya majja pamadatthana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami.
Surameraya Majjapamadatthana Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami.
Imani Pancha Sikkhapadani Silena Sugatinyanti Silena Bhoga Sampada Silena Nibbutiyanti Tasma Silang Visotaye.
Okay, why not? Why not? Okay, so we will now do the chanting. I'll just read out the names before we get to Hugh. So these are the people for today. We have Armidin Halim from liver cancer, for speedy recovery, communication help and allergy relief. Marianne Buckes passed away. That is, what's her name's mother? Salamita's mother, yeah. Patrick Axgerald, cancer. Magda Chapriuska, something like that. Emotional health. Marianne Puli passed away. Tame Chin Fat, liver and pancreatic cancer stage 4. Frank and Kunjurat for well-being. Soma Yatavara passed away in Sri Lanka with rebirth. This is your relation, Anusha? Your grandma? Oh, okay, all right, yeah. Cameron Rathall, in hospital, bitten by a bull shark. Okay. Thomas, Vincent, Martin, and Lily for health and well-being. Richie, wound recovery, bitten by a dog. Namali Silva family, good health and protection. John Mayer's mental health recovery from COVID. Young, no, that's the next one, is it? John Lean Huat, recovery from colon cancer. Jamie Sukka, okay, for assistance with tinnitus and withdrawal symptoms. Andy Outram in ICU with neurological complications. Sue Outram for good health and emotional well-being. Danica Silva, good health, peace, and to be free from accidents and misfortune. Okay, the Silva family, well-being and peace of mind. Effie Juacha, something like that. And family, good health and protection. Would be to have a peaceful quarantine for 2 weeks. Okay, that's Woody. That's Sudama's. What is he? What is your nephew? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. In Perth, Sharon Wang for safe delivery of baby. Chi Huang, daughter Shui and Ethan have COVID. Rob, Helga, and Poyo. May well-being with closure of their business. Julie Fun for good health and well-being. And we have, importantly, what's her name? Her name is... okay, just a second.
Read it on the shrine.
Yeah, I have it here. That's right, Catherine Bullstock. And she is a strong supporter of this monastery, who is dying in Thailand. She's almost on the way out, she's very old. And then, of course, it is for Hugh Sykes. Oh, actually, Ayani Rhoda, first of all, for good health. And then for Hugh Sykes, he's the main person that we're doing this chanting for. And for those of you who don't know, Hugh Sykes was a very long-term standing member of the Buddhist Society, very nice and gentle and very kind-hearted person, for those who knew him. And now he has passed away after having had a stroke a few years ago and having had to live with the complications of stroke for many years. Now he's passed away from pneumonia or something. Yeah. So we'll do some chanting for good old Hugh, and we will wish him well wherever he might be now, and may he have a safe and beautiful rebirth in a nice location here. Okay. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato
เสวนาจาบานาปันติตานัญจเสวนาปูชาชาปูชานิยานังเอตังมังกลมุตตมังปฏิรูปเดสวาโสจักขุเปจักตะปุญญาตาอาตัสสัมมาปานิดิชาเอตังมังกลมุตตมังบาหุสาจันชสิปัญจวินัยโยจัสสุสีกิโตสุภาสิตาจายาวาจาเอตังมังกลมุตตมังมาตาปิตุอุปาทานะพุทธดาราสสังฆโหอนาคุลาจักขามันตาเอตังมังกลมุตตมังตานัญชะดัมมัจจริยาจัญญาตกานัญชะสังฆโหอนาวาจานิกามานิเอตังมังกลมุตตมังอารติวิรติภาปะมาจปานาจะสัญญโมอาปะมาโลจดัมเมสุเวตังมังกลมุตตมังการโภชนิวาโตจะสันตุติจักตัญยุตากาเลนะธัมมัสสวนังเอตังมังกลมุตตมังคันติจะโสวัจจาสัตตะสัมมานานัญชะดาสนะกาเลนะธัมมัสสะกาจาเอตังมังกลมุตตมังตัปโปจะพระมจริยาจาริยสัจจานาดาสนะนิบานัสสัจจิกิริยาจาเอตังมังกลมุตตมังพุทธัสสะโลกธัมเมหิชิตังยาสนะกัมปติยโสกังวิราตังเกมังเอตังมังกลมุตตมังเอตาดิสานิกัตวานัสสะบะธัมมปาราจิตาสาบะตะโสติกาจันติตันเตสะมังกลมุตตมันติยังเกณสิวิตังอิดาวาหุรังวะสาเกสุวายะรัตนังปานิตังนาโนสัมมาอาทิตตากเตนะอิดัมปิบุเดรัตนังปานิตังเอเตนะสัจเจนะสุวัติโหตุกายังวิรากังอมตังปานิตังยาดาจักาสักยมุนีสัมมาหิโตนะเทนะดาเมนะสัมมาทิทินสิดาปิดัมเมรัตนังปานิตังเอเตนะสัจเจนะสุวัติโหตุยังบุตเสโตปาริวานายิสุจิงสัมมาดิมานันตาริกัญญามาสัมมาดินาเทนะสัมโมนาวิจติดาปิดัมเมรัตนังปานิตังเอเตนะสัจเจนะสุวัติโหตุเยภูกาลาอัตตสัทธังปัสสัทธาจา supayuta manasa dalhena nikamino kotamasa sanang hite patipata amatang vigaya lada muda niputing munjamana idam pisange ratanang panita etena sachena subati hotu kinang puranang nabang natri sangbhava virata cita yatike bhavasmi tekina bija avirul hichanda nibanti dira yata yang padipo ridam pisange ratanang panita etena sachena suvati hotu karaniya mahata kusalena yantang santang pada abisamecha sako uju chasu uju chasu vacho chasamudu anatimani santu sako chasu varu chahapakicho chasallahu kabu kesantindriyo chanipako chapakabo kulesu ananugido nachakudang samachare kinchiyena vinyo pareyo pavadeyo sukino vakemino hontu sabe sata bhavantu sukhitata yeke chipana bhutati tasavata varava anavase sadigava ye mahantava majima rasaka anukatula titava ye chahadita ye chadure vasanti avidure putava sambhave siva sabe sata bhavantu sukhitata naparo parang nikubetanatima yetakatakshinang kinshivayaro sana patikasanya nanyamanya sadukamicheyamhatayata niyang putang ayusa ekaputammanurake evam pisabhabhute sumanasang bhavaye aparimanang metan chasabalokasme manasang bhavaye aparimanang udang ado chatiriyang chasang badang averang asapata tikan charang nisinova sayanova yavata savigatamido etang sating adikeya brahma meta viharang idam ahudite sharanupagama silava tasanena sampano kame suvineya geda nahi jatu gabaseya gunaretiti ete peso bhagava arahang Ichi Patipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Yadidang Chattari Puddhisa Yuga Niyata Puddhisa Pugala Esa Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Ahuneyo Pahuneyo Dakineyo Anjali Karaniyo Anutarang Punya Ketam Lokasati Nati Me Sarananganya Buddho Me Saranang Vara Etena Satavadena Sotite Hotu Sabada Nati Me Sarananganya Samho Me Saranang Vara Etena Satavadena Sotite Hotu Sabada Nati Me Sarananganya Sangho Me Saranang Vara Etena Satavadena Sotite Hotu Sabada.
Okay, so that's it. Maybe pay respect to the Buddha Sangha. Adang Sama Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavatam Abhivademi Svakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipanno Bhagavata